entrepreneur and I'm going on my 5th year.
Today at the Virtual Café, we have a special guest, someone who proves that HR isn't about the rules, it's about building businesses that win through people. Laura García-Courrau is a 3-time startup operator, public speaker, and bilingual people and ops leader. The first person companies call when they're ready to scale without losing their soul. She's led teams from a few dozen to hundreds across multiple countries, all while repping her Cubana roots and bringing a human-first approach to leadership. So without further ado, let's jump in.
Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I'm blessed and highly caffeinated.
Yes.
You know?
No other way. There's no other way.
Not as caffeinated as you, though. You actually came in here with the coffee.
I did.
So
This is my third of the day, repping the
See?
cafecito of the afternoon. It's a
You know,
must.
You know what? I'm thinking about actually. That's one of the things I'm gonna do with my merch. I'm thinking about building merch. I'm gonna get cups that say "blessed and highly caffeinated" on them.
I love it. Sign me up. I'm in.
But yeah, before we get into business, I know you watched the episode with Maddie Machado, and you had, that's your Cuban sister in arms, and so I gotta ask, because she's got both sides. She's Boricua and Cubano. So I gotta ask, are you on her side and saying that Cubanos dance better salsa than Boricuas?
Okay. Yes.
Wow.
Okay, wait. Hold on. We dance better, but I have to give it up to the Boricuas. They make better salsa music. So I love me some gran combo of Puerto Rico, but also I gotta give it to us. Like,
you know what I think?
Salsa, Cuban salsa is just it's a vibe.
It's a vibe. I'm not gonna lie. It's definitely a vibe. First off, my dad is a salsa DJ. He's been a salsa DJ my whole life since I was a kid. So I got insider information.
Yes.
Okay. And the way he's always explained it to me is that, like, Puerto Ricans and Cubans, our salsa is 1 and 1A, right? Specifically because we have the king of salsa and you guys have the queen.
So you see,
There's
Colombianos.
salsa.
Oh my God, please. Like, think about Oscar
Really
de Leon.
underrated.
Like, no, for sure. And again, I think, and we were talking about this a little before we started the actual conversation, like uniting us as a people and not, we all, those of us of a certain era, that our birthday starts with a 19 from the 1900s. We grew up with a lot of that, like, oh, Cubans are better than Puerto Ricans and Dominicans are this, and, like all of this, like, head bumping, and that's not the right approach. Like, we really need to
Where did you grow up? I don't mind
I
meaning to
grew
cut you
up,
off.
no, not at all. I am from the County Dade. I'm from born and raised in Miami. Hialeah, if you know, you know. Hialeah girl. And like my grandparents lived right off of La Calle Ocho. I'm first gen. Like ran through Little Havana, Hialeah, 9th Street. Like, that's my hood.
I have very limited exposure to Cubans. In New York, there aren't many Cubans. Like, you just don't see them as much.
Right.
Like, over here, there's a lot of Boricuas, a lot of Dominicanos. They dominate. I'm telling you, Mexicanos. It's actually, it's crazy because it's wild to see how, like, aside from the cultural representation you have from your island or country, right? How much different it is geographically within the USA. Like, how much, because I went down to Texas recently and I met a whole bunch of Mexicanos who don't speak Spanish. And that was like mind blowing to me.
I live in Arizona now. I live in Phoenix now. And I am like so much a minority. Like, people look at me like I am the palest Hispanic person you'll ever meet. And they're like, where did this gringa pick up, and what is this weird accent? And there's a little pocket of Cubans around here, but when Mexican folks see me, they're like, ¿y de dónde salió la?
Yeah. See,
um,
my mom's even fairer than you. Like
really?
my mom, she's a rubia. She's fair. She's
Wow.
super fair skinned. Like she looks like the Aryan race. I'll just tell you like that straight up. Like she's blonde hair, blue eyes, green eyes. It changes, but she does not look Hispanic at all. And so,
You and my husband will connect on that,
you
because
know,
his family is the same thing.
it was a problem because as a teenager, as a kid, I thought I had white privilege until I realized I didn't. You know?
that wasn't passed down.
Exactly. So tell me about what you do. Like, I know you've been in the HR space for a while. Did you always see yourself in HR?
No, not at all. Like most of us, you kind of fall into it. So I fell into HR when I was working for a hospital system, and the director that I was working for at the time, who to this day, shout out to Mary Beasley, one of the best mentors. She was in charge of recruitment and retention for the nursing department. So that hospital system probably had like 5,000 nurses and nursing staff. So there was a lot of people that we tended to, not just in the hospital that we were in, but the system as a whole. And we ran recruitment and retention initiatives. And this was gonna date myself, but I don't care. This was back in like 2008. You know, we're in the middle of that other recession, and you know, there's a nursing shortage, and it's really taxing work. Like anybody that worked in healthcare during COVID, like not to that extent, but very similar to that, having nurses come into our office and just like bawling, either because a doctor yelled at them while they were trying to resuscitate a patient, or a baby died in their arms, or a parent, you know, I mean, you name it. Like, I didn't see it all, but I would hear their stories. And I wanted to just be there for them, like be that indirect caregiver, like support the people that are at the bedside and literally saving lives. And that felt very fulfilling to me. I'm like, holy shit, like I get to support these people. Like these people are heroes. Like truly. And it was really motivating to go to work. And then my boss was so smart, and not one of those like really like she obviously was very intellectually intelligent as well, but she's just like a common sense, like smart person, like
Yeah.
that had like chispa, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing her operate and seeing how she problem solved and pivoted and the things that she would come up with, like to this day, I still use a lot of that knowledge. And that I realized that I was good at this stuff. So I just wanted to stick with it. And I never pursued formal education in it, but those of us that come from the school of hard knocks, I feel like that's the best education that you could get, when you're doing it in real time, learning from the people that you're serving, and not taking theoretical information from a textbook, and you're actually learning and applying things in real time. And ever since then, I've been in one way, shape, or form involved in HR in small companies where I was employee number 9 and I was the first HR hire, to, you know, working for a 14,000 multinational organization and having different levels between that.
Would you say that, because there's something that you said that really stood out to me, and it was that your boss was one of those smart people, but like not overbearingly smart. It's almost as if she was, and a lot of people get this confused with it when it comes to intelligence. It's like people try to be impressive versus impactful, and she was
Yes.
impactful.
Yes, 100%. And she was a nurse, like trained as a nurse. Like she was a bedside nurse that then, you know, went up the corporate ladder. And I learned HR from her. Also not formally trained in HR, but again, like just a very common sense, very intelligent human being that could see the problem. It's very strategic. Like she could see what the problem or the challenge or what the next level was right in front of her, and knew how to devise either a program or an initiative or knew like, hey, we got to go like up the chain and ask for resources because this is what's going to shift things in this direction or whatever. And I've never had a better HR mentor than her, who never practiced HR in her life. And I just realized that right now.
Yeah. It may be because she was so very close to the problem.
Yes.
You know, I
She
think,
knew it
yeah,
because she was them.
absolutely. It's tricky, right? Because I feel like HR people are almost looked at. It's not even like, you know, the police are looked at in a certain way. It's almost like
Educate, hide your wife. Yes.
you're almost looked at as like internal affairs.
Literally.
So
Literally.
how do you navigate that and allow people to understand, like, I'm actually on your team. I'm not against you trying to get you fired.
There is no HR person that doesn't suck, that isn't waging that fight every single day of their life on the job. Like right now, anybody else that operates within HR and is listening to this is like sighing, like solid, like they know exactly what the heck you're asking because that's what we experience. I've never gone to like a Christmas party at the end of the year, like a happy hour, and people are like,
Yeah.
even if they're doing it as like a joke, they're like, oh, we're not doing Jäger bombs. I'm like, I don't give a damn what you're doing. Hand me one. Can I partake? Like I don't know what people think HR people do. I saw this post on LinkedIn and I forgot who posted it. It was amazing. But somebody said, I don't know what you think your HR people are doing on the weekends, but they're out there like shaking their butts,
Yeah.
you know, and having a good time, just like the rest of you, because we're human beings. And guess what? HR people are also employees. But yeah, to answer your question, the way that I have dealt with that is relationship building. Just how you see me like this right now, like that's how I've gone into conversations with managers. Like, tell me about your day. What did they do? Oh, somebody got in, they threw a hot cup of coffee on another guy. What the hell, man? I'm so sorry. They did a what? This guy was messing around with the other guy's partner. Tell me everything here. And then sometimes you just like send them a DoorDash gift card. Like it's all about building that relationship. At the end of the day, nobody is going to think that you care about them unless you actually care about them. And you can't replace being genuine with your intentions, regardless of what your role is. There's a lot of misunderstanding that HR is here to tell you what not to do. Every function within an organization does that. Is finance not out here telling you, hey, you can't give so-and-so that many raises, or you can't hire these many people because we don't have the money for it? Legal's telling you that you can't, you know, go do something because then you're going to get sued. Like it's the same thing. But for some reason, HR has this stigma of like, we're out here trying to ruin your life. Promise you, we want to be left alone. we hear all the drama. Because there's so much that goes on in the background that people don't understand. Like people think that HR is just like sitting here inanimate and then something happens like, oh, the microwave was left dirty and somehow now we come to life. Here we are. We're here. Like that's like HR manages so much and employee relations is such a small component of it unless it's an absolute chaotic organization, which been there, done that. But even still, you have to keep benefits going. Payroll needs to be run. Like we need to make sure that we're hiring people, that we're leveling people up so that when Juanito from, you know, warehouse retires, you have someone to replace him with. And people feel like they have a trajectory within an organization. All of that is housed under the people function. And we're not just here like waiting to, you know, we don't fire people. We don't write people up. We're the ones that make sure that people don't get mistreated at work.
Yeah. It's like a misconception. You ever see the movie Monsters Inc? You got little ones, so I'm sure they think you're the vieja from Monsters
Yes,
Inc.
literally,
You
literally.
know?
And I will give people this, like there are so many horror stories within HR where you have had a horrible experience. And a lot of times it could either be number one, HR was just the mouthpiece, which is unfortunately our job. We have to pretend like we're totally cool with something that we think is horrific.
Mm,
Or guess what? Just like in every other function, there are crappy people. There are people that do not embody values, that don't care about people, like, and that same thing happens in any other, you can also have that in accounting, you could also have that in IT. It's not unique to HR.
so would you say you have felt, because this has always been my biggest thing as like in terms of HR.
Hmm.
Have you ever felt as if you were compromising your integrity from a political or a religious standpoint, but you had to do your job?
Yes, multiple times.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate now that I got to a point where I felt like I could choose in favor of my own morals instead of having to choose a paycheck. Because let's not forget, I'm a first generation Latina.
Hmm.
Like my dad worked 3 jobs. My mom got here with, the clothes on her back and came up at Walgreens. Like I don't come from privilege. I don't have a silver spoon in my mouth. And that mindset that, you have to grind and sometimes you just have to put your head down and suffer through things that are really shitty, pardon my French, but you need to put food on the table. And I have been in those situations where I was like, I'm not doing the illegal, unethical, the thing that I can't go to bed with myself at night.
Yeah.
But I wasn't always that fortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
a lot
that
of us face that.
yeah. It's almost like having two different sides of you. Like you have the young, naive, not
Yeah.
knowing any better, versus the more seasoned version of you that's like,
Yep.
we're not we're not doing that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know, and it
exactly.
puts you in a position to really be able to understand your own boundaries. That's the biggest thing in the Latino community. There's not really much such thing as boundaries.
What what is the word that you use for boundaries in Spanish? Because let me tell you, I had to look far and wide. The one that I found that is the closest is parámetros. Like I remember trying to have a boundary conversation with my mom, who here and now we're called Sylvia. Sylvia does not know what the fuck a boundary is. I'm like, I need to give me a dictionary, something to find what a boundary is.
Exactly.
You're so right.
You
Like
know,
for us, it's 100%.
it's so difficult because like if your parents don't understand boundaries, it makes it more difficult for you to develop them for yourself.
Preach a whole
You
word.
know,
So true.
like like boundaries is something I'm learning. I'm 30 years old, so like
You're
boundaries is
doing
something
better than me. I
I'm
turned
just
40 in October, and that's still the topic of conversation with my therapist. It's hard
yeah.
because culturally, like that's also why it's so interesting. And I think it's interesting from an HR perspective because I've also worked in industries where the frontline staff are typically Latino or minorities and come from very non-individualistic type of cultures like the one that we come from. And then upper management is all white
Hmm.
and they're very individualistic and they got the playbook when they were growing up. We didn't
Yeah.
get that playbook. So then you find this, I couldn't geek out on this. like you find this like middle management class that's like stuck in the middle between the people that they serve, and maybe they came up and they were given a promotion, and then they're serving a leadership that doesn't think like them and doesn't know what struggles they face when it comes to things like boundaries and how to say no, and you know, all of that kind of stuff. Our cultures were brought up to be very, you know, thinking of the whole, thinking of the, you know, families stick together, and you got abuela living with you, and you got la prima of titi living with you. And it's like coming to this country that's very like self-focused. I won't even use self-centered because I don't want that connotation, because it's not good or bad. It's just, at what point do you pull what lever? And it's very challenging for people like us that we don't know anything, but you give yourself 100% to everything that you do. And then you're just in this soup of your life belongs to everything and everyone but yourself. How do you navigate this world with that mentality? It's something that is unspoken for people that don't grow up the way that we did, that don't have that cultural heritage that we have.
Yeah. You actually touched on something that's actually been weighing heavy on my mind for a while now. Is like, rarely do I see Latinos in senior leadership, and even more rarely do I see Afro-Latinos in senior leadership.
I was thinking about that, specifically like Afro-Latinos in like, so and I feel for you specifically because there's like we were talking about, like that cultural heritage component, like the way that our mind is wired, the way that we were brought up, the values that we inherited from our families. And then you got to layer on top of that all the racist stuff.
Yeah.
And there's the colorism component too, because even within Afro communities, being Afro-Latino and being Black are two different things.
Mhm.
And that in and of itself can be very isolating for the Afro-Latino communities. There is so much for Afro-Latinos to overcome that white people, Black people, non-Afro-Latina people just don't understand. Like, I could never understand. I have a conscious incompetence of it, because by the work that I do, I'm aware of how hard it is for folks that have my background but don't benefit from my passingness to be able to achieve greater heights. And it's such a detriment to our society that we aren't leveraging that talent, that dedication, that skill set. Like, give me a Dominicano all day, man. Are you kidding me? The best.
Yeah. You know what's so crazy is that, like, as an Afro-Latino, I see it. Like, I see the way
Of course you do.
I'm treated versus like a lot of my Latino family members and counterparts. For example, I may speak Spanish to, and I mean, I'm a borderline no sabo, like I was saying. Like, I'm still I'm getting it right, you know what I mean? But I speak enough to be able to carry a conversation with someone if I'm
Right.
at the bodega, right? So, like, I'll speak to someone in Spanish and they'll speak back to me in English. Dominicans are the only ones who don't do it. And Puerto Ricans, they don't do it. Well, Puerto Ricans do it because they speak Spanglish, and it's just
Right.
like, it is what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like Mexicanos, like, I'm like,
Right.
they'll blatantly speak back to me in English. You know what I mean? And it's just like one of those things, like, dang. And my dad, let me tell you something. My dad, he's that man is dark, like, he Wesley Snipes vibes, you know. And he's probably gonna see this because I have him on LinkedIn. And he said to me the same exact thing. As an Afro-Latino, it's like they don't. It's like you'll speak to them in Spanish and they'll speak back to you in English. And that's the superpower of being Afro-Latino, though, is that a lot of the time they don't know that you Latino. So you get to see how people really talk.
There you go.
I love doing that, by the way. I love
You got to
hearing
get your kick somehow. Got to
it.
get the benefits.
I love hearing what people think about you when they don't think you're listening, you know?
I've experienced that in the reverse, especially out here. The last company that I worked for was in the construction world, and the majority of the guys out in the field are Mexican or South American. So um, they would see me, when they see Laura García-Courrau, and they're like, oh, this, gringa, because
Mm-hmm.
us Latin, Caribbean Latins, like you can kind of like see my features. You're like, yeah,
Yeah.
not like white,
Yeah.
but, but for like Mexicans or South Americans, they don't really pick up on my features. And they think I'm just a white person. So hearing people, talk right about me right in front of me was often kind of interesting. But then I would just like, hey, ¿cómo tú estás? Sí, yo me llamo Laura. Sí, mucho gusto. Ay. And then they'd be like, oh my God. And I'm like, yeah. I'm here on the down low. Like for them, I'm a white chick, but for us, I'm us. I'm just like sneaked
Secret
into
agent.
leadership. Double agent. Yeah, and I've felt like that's kind of my that's how I can take advantage of my white passingness, where it's like, all right, so I'm just gonna sneak in as like the whitest Latin person and advocate for my people who, unfortunately are not seen, which is the stupidest thing, as having leadership capabilities or management capabilities simply because they don't look it.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. So, what's the one thing most companies get wrong with HR?
They do not use us as strategic partners, and I'll explain what I mean by that. A lot of people think that HR, and I had a conversation recently with a company owner that was like, I don't want HR to run my business. I couldn't run your business if I wanted to. Like, I think that that's actually a very disempowering statement for anybody to say. Like, I can't take away your ownership, your authority over your company. If you choose to give that to me, well, number one, thank you, because you're going to be better off for it. Number two, that's your choice. But at no point is HR intended to tell you can't do this, you can't do that. We're here to advise. HR simply advises. Hey, it would be really stupid to bring on a new hire for more money than the guy that you already have doing the job that's been doing it better than the new hire will for the last 10 years. That's my advice. Do they choose to do that anyway? Sure, they can do whatever they want to do. And then we're sitting back here trying to figure out, put into ChatGPT, how do you say I told you so without saying I told you so?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's really the loss of typically organizations. People is your most expensive asset. Payroll is the most expensive thing that most companies have. So why wouldn't you want to leverage your people function to have the biggest impact on your organization? HR should be like your right-hand man. The right HR person understands revenue, understands your business goals. They're going to want to know, what are you trying to accomplish? Are we growing into a new market? Are we taking on a new line of revenue, new income stream? How can we make the people function help you achieve your goals? How can we make more money? How can we grow? How can we be more profitable? How can we cut? How do we integrate AI so that we have people doing higher level work for the same amount or a little bit more, but we don't have to have so much headcount? Like, there's so much juice to squeeze out of the HR function that a lot of business owners are still thinking of HR back from like the 60s. Like, if this was an episode of Mad Men, like, we're just here like secretaries. We are what can turn your business into a powerhouse.
For sure. I mean, considering like HR is responsible for hiring people, right? Like that's
everything.
You're responsible for hiring people, paying people, everything. So it would make sense to make sure you have great HR talent and empower them. And then like they empower the people that you hire. Like,
And good HR people are going to work with your finance team, are going to work with your legal team, are going to work with your IT, your tech, your product, your operations. Anybody that is just half good at their job is going to want to know about the business so that they can do well in the business for you. Like at my last company, I would go out to the offices all the time. You'd find me in a warehouse. What's this? Explain this to me. How does this? Oh, okay, I see. They wouldn't let me get on a roof, but I would have if they let me. Just put a cute little hard hat on me. I would talk to all the guys, like the electricians, the trenching people, the warehouse guys. They all knew me. First name, ay, ¿cómo tú estás? Because it was my job to understand their work, understand the problems that they faced, what makes them want to stay at a company or not. Because if we have a mass exodus, that's on me.
Mm-hmm.
Why are people having a bad experience? Why are we hiring people and they're not staying? Why are we losing them to competitors? That's incumbent upon HR to make sure that we understand what are those factors that keep people or keep people away.
Yeah.
And without having someone that is focused on your people, you can't grow.
Yeah. If you look at what happened this past year with the whole Luka Doncic trade, like that's a pure example. The general manager, Nico, he's a prime example of what happens to HR because he's the decision maker in that. So I don't know if I could deal with that level of pressure. That's a lot.
It is a lot of pressure. And I will say for HR people, it's very important that you're in a company that empowers you to do your job to the fullest extent.
Mm-hmm.
Because if not, it's just going to kill you. Like, I've been in situations like that where I've been in organizations where there's such a misalignment that it's like literally like sucking the life out of you. Like, I age, like, there's like las canas that have come out on a road to recovery. Let me tell you that. But it's very challenging because that's still something that we're, years and years and years spent as an industry trying to shift. And unfortunately, there are still a lot of bad actors in HR that are from the old school, that are very subordinate. They're willing to bend the knee and put their head down and just, even though they know that what they're doing isn't for the best of the organization and the people within that organization, they still proceed. So, it's going to take time.
Do you find a lot of organizations like actually have no idea what they're doing on the organ?
You would not believe how many companies run off of Post-it notes, my dude.
Yeah.
Like, we're out here thinking like, oh my God, look at this big company that's being traded on Post-it notes, text messages. Like, to anybody that's watching this, that's like, imposter syndrome, believe me, just have the audacity. I promise you. They do. They have the audacity. You need to have the audacity. Full-blown delusion. Just get some Post-it notes. You'll be fine. That's what they do. It is, nobody knows what they're doing. They don't. The only difference is that they are deluded and think that they do. And they're just like, you know what, and for better or for worse, because I've seen it both ways. For better or for worse, they're just going to move forward and either they're going to skyrocket or they're going to crash and burn. But yeah, and I would say that even more so with organizations that have young founders. Y'all, I don't know. There's a lot of young white males that are starting companies that, boy, I need to take a drink of my cafecito before I say more.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, I can imagine the idea of, people starting something and just throwing whatever at a wall and seeing what sticks.
Right.
But that's a bad business model. I actually saw a post on LinkedIn recently that actually wasn't on LinkedIn. I'm about to make the post. So yeah, I heard it here first. But it was a video of a woman that was talking about like the difference between the founder CEO and the executive CEO. And there's a significant difference.
Yes.
And like how a good founder CEO knows when it's time to pass off the reins because you're too connected to the business, you know?
100%. 100%. And I agree with you. I think that that entrepreneurial mindset that got you from 0 to 1, nobody's knocking that. Like, you need to be that level of audacious, and you need to throw spaghetti on the wall to see what sticks. And then once you've proven your concept and it's no longer is this going to take off? Is this going to work? Now you're a legit business. People are depending on that paycheck to provide for their families. Now they've committed their daily life to you. You need to commit stability to them. And a lot of founders get stuck in that egomaniacal mindset of like, oh, I got it here, so I'll get it there. That's not the case. Like, exactly like you said, like, you need to have a level of detachment and seeing things more objectively once you've reached a certain threshold. And that's where operators like me that understand HR, operations, finance people, legal people that understand like the nuts and bolts of things that are we're not going to go sell the way that you sold to get stuff started, but we're going to make sure that the cogs keep turning so that you can grow this to the next level and continue being a visionary. People that don't understand that you need to have that maturity, that you need to have that growth, that's where everything collapses, because what got you here won't get you there.
Absolutely. Laura, I don't know why you do not have a book yet. You need to.
I feel like it would be the most ADHD book ever.
Good.
47 thoughts a second by Laura.
Good. That's what you put. That's how you do it. You structure it in ChatGPT. I'm gonna come out with a book. Watch. I guarantee you, and you should too.
You know what? Accountability partners.
Exactly.
I'll hold you. You hold me.
Exactly.
We'll make it happen.
We both need books. What's one principle you'll never break, regardless of the pressure? One thing you will stand 10 toes down on.
That's a really good question. And I think if an HR person isn't having a hard time thinking of an answer to that because they don't have any, that's a problem. You shouldn't be in HR if you don't have any. I will never treat anyone like they're undignified. I will never treat anyone like they're not a human being worthy of dignity and respect. I'd rather be in line at the soup kitchen.
Do you see that happen often in HR?
I see that happen often in management. And that's where there is that confusion. A lot of people use management or leadership and HR interchangeably. HR is often brought into these conversations because we're here to mediate or prevent things from going to hell, for lack of a better word. And a lot of times managers and middle managers in particular, which I've grown especially fond of in my last couple of jobs, because a lot of people are thrown into management level positions with no training, with no support, and they have a bunch of people that look up to them and need of them, and then they are being breathed down on by the top. So they're the sandwich. Those people many times are put in a pressure cooker situation, and they have to make these like fast decisions or uninformed decisions, and it ends up being like, oh, we're just going to fire this guy and hire this guy, or, you know, we're going to lay off like 20 people and it's fine because, you know, they'll get something else. Like, I won't ever. Because I think that goes back to our upbringing and our value set as Latinos. Like, we know a lot of times people like us are, you know, sending money back home. They got a whole family in their home country that they're providing for, along with the folks that they have here. You don't know how hard it was maybe for them to get that job because maybe their English isn't so great. Like,
my English not very good looking.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's where, especially us as Latinos, and I'm grateful for the position that I've gotten to where I can advocate for things like that. I refuse to ever look upon anyone, Latino or not, as being anything but a person worthy of respect and dignity. Period.
Absolutely. You know, that actually reminds me of something that I had in a previous conversation with Maddie, where she had mentioned that she feels that a lot of the time organizations make mistakes and not repurposing people. Do you feel the same way?
That's a thing I felt like as a society we were better at like decades ago. Oh, I used to be a plumber and now I'm gonna, go and do something else that's, trade related or whatever. And now in this day and age, I feel like even though work is more similar than it has ever been, we focus so much on specialist skill sets that we've made it very difficult for people to be able to either pivot in their career, pivot later on in their career. Maybe, thinking about my background coming from trades, somebody ages out. Like maybe somebody's in their 40s or their 50s and he doesn't want to be on a roof anymore because his back hurts and he wants to get into tech. Oh, well, who's going to hire a, 50-year-old software developer? Well, why the hell not? Why not? And I think that we prize too much people that, just as a society, people that have figured it out early on in their life, and we don't value the skill sets and just the experience that comes with getting older and being that stable force. Like not everybody wants to be a CEO. Some people just want to do a good job and take home a paycheck and learn something new. And I agree fully with Maddie that we are really missing out, especially as tech evolves and some industries and some skill sets begin to grow obsolete. Like we need to create space for these people because that's what leads to mental health issues. Like people like unaliving themselves because they can't provide for their families. Literally. The other person that I need to give props to that talks a lot about this is Heba Youssef. She talks a lot about the fact that the HR function has gotten too big. And HR people are expected now to be experts in everything from like the latest benefits offering to, ESOPs, like employee, stock options, to talent management, to performance reviews, to succession planning and workforce planning. Like there's just so much where I agree with her because I've been in that situation too, where I'm like, I am not good at all of these things. Like there is no possible way that everybody is good at everything. Like,
Yeah.
Which is why they're, again, I understand like the concept of specializing, but that's something that I don't know how we solve yet as an industry. And I wonder, just like how tech, IT and product in tech companies have split off. You have like information services and then you have tech and you have product as a separate department. Like maybe that's what has to happen with HR as well. I think those are the more strategic conversations that CEOs, that founders, that owners need to be having with their heads of HR to figure out how they can have a best-in-class HR program at their organization, not for the sake of vanity, but for the sake of how do we create a business that is effective and that is recession-proof, resistant-proof, where it doesn't matter what happens with tariffs or, what competitor gets bought out by what other, major organization, that we can withstand whatever those headwinds are. Just like you would, again, I love to pick on finance and I love to pick on legal, and they're like the biggest partners to HR. But again, like we need to be having those conversations like we would with finance and legal with HR as well.
Yeah. I love that. It brings it all back to culture, right? Because you see in organizations, you could see who's doing it right and who's doing it wrong. Like you look at Starbucks versus some of their competitors, and Starbucks it has exceptional customer service most of the time. Like you go in and it's like you're greeted, they write on your cup, all these different things.
Right.
I went to a Chick-fil-A the other day, right? me, my lady, and my daughter, we went to a Chick-fil-A, and the lady takes our order, and we drive probably like 8 feet. And then but the first lady who took our
Mm-hmm.
order, she went over the order in detail. And I'm a big boy. I'm a gordo. I like to eat. So you know what I'm saying? Like it was, and I'm a picky gordo. I like my
Why
stuff
you're
specific.
picky? Oof.
Yeah, I need to. Anyway.
I get it. My husband is one too. Did
So
they even
it's
look
like,
at it with mayo close by?
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel you.
So the first lady, she tells me the order, and then I make it to the second lady, and she repeats the same long ass order, and it's like 8 feet away, and I'm like, I ask her, I'm like, is your job just to repeat what she just told me? Like that was, but it's so um it's so revealing in terms
Yeah.
of, they have a well-oiled system, and
And
that comes down to the HR people who are hiring these people, who are having these conversations with senior stakeholders, with the CEO, with the CFO, like C-suites. And so I get it.
thinking about it, you're so right. Because people, whatever people think politically, about the stance of Chick-fil-A, this or that, like we can all pretty much agree that Chick-fil-A has a really good customer service experience, and they really pride themselves in, like, you go to a Chick-fil-A out here, you go to Chick-fil-A out there, and you're going to have almost an identical experience.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, you made such a good point there talking about like having the conversations with the senior stakeholders about having someone whose job is just to repeat stuff. And if you think about it from like a people investment perspective, from a training perspective, like they're willing to pay, and they don't pay cheapo either. Like they pay their staff well, they provide good benefits
Mm-hmm.
because they took the time to research. Is like probably having someone there repeat the order. Maybe someone's like, oh wait, can you add a milkshake to that? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I forgot. I meant to put 3 kids meals in there instead of 2. Like the fact
I'm
that
that
they will,
guy. I'll do that.
100%. And me sometimes if I like put it in on the app, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot this girl's chocolate milk. Hold on, please. So I like,
Yeah.
but the fact that they're willing to put in that much effort into the infrastructure, not just to have someone standing there, which is costing people money, but also to make sure that you have that experience of like, somebody is taking their time, making sure that my stuff is right. So I don't have the experience from other drive-thrus where you're like, they forgot my burger, they forgot my this, that. Like you never have that happen at Chick-fil-A because they're
Yeah.
willing to put their money where their mouth is through things like learning and development, through things like headcount. Like it's you're exactly right. It's the culture of the organization, and culture is not managed by HR. Culture is managed by management, by leadership, by the CEO. And if you don't empower HR to propel your culture forward, you have a culture anyway, regardless of whether or
Mm-hmm.
not you think you have one. It's probably not very good.
But what is next for you, Laura?
So I have started a consulting company with a good friend who is now my business partner. And what we really want to do is this kind of strategic work that we're both really good at. We're HR professionals, but we have a lot of like roll up your sleeves, grit, operational experience. And we want to be able to come into companies and help solve the problems that they actually have, not the problems that they think they have. And sometimes that takes some support. You're in it. So sometimes it's hard to see the forest through the trees, but that's where folks like Amanda and I come in, and we can really like help you realize like what is it that you're actually navigating in your business that's preventing you from being able to grow. We recently had a client that had an employee that was retiring. And he's like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do because she runs payroll and she's been with us for 35 years. And how am I going to replace her? So instead of just, okay, let's just post that job ad on Indeed for the exact same thing that she's already doing, we really got into the nuts and bolts of the business. Like, all right, where are you struggling? What is it that, makes it so that you can't take a vacation without unplugging, and you're answering messages on the weekend while you're supposed to be with your kids? So what we figured out was that he actually needed more financial support as opposed to someone that was just like a payroll clerk. So that's what we hired for him. And since then, he's been able to take a bunch of work off of his plate because he brought someone in with a skill set that he didn't have. So he can focus on building those relationships with his clients, maintaining the relationships, getting more projects. And he knows that he has someone that has his back, that knows more about the things that he doesn't know about, and they complement each other. So that's one of those ways where we can come in and really be, again, the strategic partner of let's see what's really going on as opposed to what you think is happening. And, I would love the opportunity to be able to do that for more businesses, because more than anything, I actually enjoy that. I enjoy being able to help someone find a really good job. I enjoy being able to give business owners a peace of mind. Like, give them what they need, not what they think they want. And plug for our business. The business is called Iconic People. If they want to check us out at iconicpeople.co.
Iconic People. Love it. Huge shout out to Laura for giving us the behind the scenes look at how HR really works and where it's headed. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow Laura on LinkedIn and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, stay blessed and highly caffeinated.